Life's a game. The world's a stage, and we are merely role-players where theatrical people play role-playing games. I'm Matt Boothman, and I'm your compere for this main house production. Here on Merely Role-Players, we improvise stories to entertain ourselves, and also yourselves. And we use role-playing games to keep the story going places even we can't see coming, because, as theatrical people, we want things to be all drama, all the time. This episode is Act 1 of Vigil, Gwynned, one of our main house productions. If you're just joining us for the first time, Act 1, any Act 1, is the perfect place to start. The main house is where we stage ongoing, serial stories with characters and plots that develop and unfold over several productions. Vigil is our current ongoing main house production. It tells the story of the outsiders and weirdos who step up to defend their neighbours from monsters and worse after the government cuts their town's official team of paranormal investigators. To create this story, we're playing Monster of the Week, a role-playing game by Michael Sands, published by Evil Hat. Gwynned is the 12th instalment in Vigil. You don't need to be caught up on the rest of Vigil to enjoy this production, but if you specifically want to know how Gwynned became 1/3 of a goddess, you can check out Vigil Chief Exec. Or to find out why half the characters are simmering with fury at Graham, you'll want to listen to Vigil Fear Itself. In the meantime, though, please take your seats in the main house. Tonight's production is about to begin. Vigil, a Merely Role-Players main house production. Gwynned, Act 1 of 5. Let's meet the players for this main house production, this next instalment in our Vigil story.
Hi, I'm Vicky and I play Renko the Flake. You will have last heard me in the series Chief Exec, also playing Renko.
Hello, my name is Alexander Pankhurst. I will be playing Graham the Summoned. And the last thing you saw me in as Graham was Fear Itself. But most recently I've been in Her Many Masks. Ooh.
Hi, I'm Nat. I play Gwynned / the Morrigan, a third of the Divine. Last would have heard me in Chief Exec as Gwynned, but actual last you would have heard me would have been as the Goblin Queen in Labyrinth Untold.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I'm playing Peggy Tailor, the Crooked, and you will have heard me last playing that character with her debut in Tailor Made for Vigil. And I was also recently in Her Many Masks.
You're on a roll.
Yeah.
How are we feeling about the game today, guys? Some of these characters have not been together for quite a while.
No.
I think Renko and Graham not been together since
Playtime.
Yeah, so first, one and done, that was it.
Yeah, never again.
Which at time of recording was 4 years ago?
And the rest, I think, yeah.
About
this time, maybe exactly 4 years ago, because it was autumn time, wasn't it? Yeah.
Jesus.
We've been going along a while.
Yeah.
Time is a weird soup post-pandemic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so 4 years ago for us.
Yeah.
And obviously, that was the last time we were in a series together as players, but obviously I haven't been in one with your character.
Yeah.
I feel like this combination of characters might become a soup of mistrust.
Yeah.
if it isn't already.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, that's my default in all games that Renko participates in, even with people who are inherently trustworthy.
So it's
She's
a
suspicious.
web of distrust absolutely centred on Graham, who everybody thinks is up to something.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
now new people to be mistrustful.
I know.
So exciting.
Yeah, I feel like anything that Peggy's going to be in as the crooked, she's going to be suspicious and also suspicious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the combo of Renko and Peggy
Yeah,
is...
it's wild.
Don't be
Yeah.
suspicious.
Yeah.
Don't be suspicious.
And we shall be using that in the promo.
just Peggy and Graham
Yeah.
creeping along.
And Renko just standing there in the
What's
what
going
do
on?
you-
For some
Stop.
reason, we're clicking like something out of.
West Side Story.
Thank you.
Look, the longer we do this, the higher the probability gets of us doing a musical episode.
Yeah.
So
Oh no, that would be
Yes.
terrible.
I mean, we've already had opera in Labyrinth.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
precedent's been
We're
set.
just like slowly inching our way towards it.
and punk, pop punk in
We did. Yes.
Yeah.
in both in mini games and Monumental Exit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been bands.
I think if we do a musical episode, all the characters would have to be in it.
Yes, that's how it's
Yeah.
supposed to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is not that time.
Okay, sure.
Because I
We
am
should-
not
Are you
ready.
saying we should stop workshopping?
Save it. Keep your powder dry on the musical episode. As is everybody ready to go into this mystery?
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
An ill wind blows through Sheridan, heavy with rot and thick with pestilence. Noses wrinkle and brows furrow throughout the town. But there's at least one entity here in Sheridan who's kind of at home with foulness and stinks. Perhaps even enjoys it a little bit. Graham.
Hello.
Alex, do you want to remind our lovely audience what Graham looks like and tell us in which of Sheridan's bin stores or general dumping grounds we find Graham foraging today?
Well, so Graham looks like a sort of 6-foot-ish man, white, very, very snappily dressed, white shirt, waistcoat, trousers, and shoes if he's remembered that part of the glamour. Today he is wearing shoes, but sometimes people will see him and not see shoes. So there's that. And he's currently not at any bins. He is just following the smells that he can smell and getting they're that bad that he's kind of getting sustenance from them on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just strolling through Sherrydown, just very content, very happy, with a spring in his step.
Just a little like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good for Graham. What's good for Graham is not good for you, basically.
Yeah, often the case. Just strolling happily down Market Street with a spring in his step, just seeing like windows slam shut in the flats above shops. And you can still sort of smell the usual Market Street smells, maybe a little stronger and more pungent than usual. Sort of, you can smell the bins out the back of the subway. Unfortunately, the Diner's Delight Greasy Spoon, which used to be a good ground for foraging, that place has shut down since the owner exploded, which is a shame.
It's a sore spot for Graham because he really did like those sort of rancid bacon rashers that were covered in beans. He was a big fan of those.
Yeah. So you can still smell all of that sort of behind the shops, in the roads behind those. But this ill wind blowing into town is stronger. It overwhelms all of those. And as you follow, sort of going against the wind towards the source of where this stench is coming from, you start to, as well as smell things, hear things and see things coming from the same direction that you're now heading. You hear pitter-patter, pitter-patter, and a whirring of wings, and a low drone, all of which build and build, getting louder and louder, pattering becoming a drumming, the drone becoming a buzz, the whir of wings becoming a flap, as down the high street in the direction you're heading, coming straight towards you, a tide of rats, gulls, and fat black flies following on the wind, the ill wind blowing into Sheridan.
Are they just like a swarm of all of these creatures?
All of these creatures seemingly flocking all together. The birds and flies reach first, like they're kind of the first wave. The rats can't go quite as fast. But also you see that as this swarm of rats is approaching down the high street, they all seem to be coming from somewhere, wherever this wind is coming from. But like all of the rats that were in town already, like boiling up out of the sewers and out of grates and out of the backs of shops and things like that, joining the tide as well, all coming towards you.
Graham is going to look at the tide of animals pouring towards him and pause. Are they, as I said, they're all in a mass and they're all coming down the high street. They're not flooding down either side. They're coming straight down the high street. The market street.
From what you can only see the ones that are on the high street, basically, because there's shops on either side. So for all you know, they might be in the alleys either side as well. They might be in other streets, but you can just see this tide of animals pouring towards you along the street.
In my head, they're coming down the street like a carnival. Like a foul jamboree of beings sort of swarming down. So Graham is just going to step to the side onto the pavement and watch as they go by to see where they're headed.
Okay. As this tide reaches you, the sound is filling your ears now. The air is just full of flapping gull wings, buzzing flies, the patter of rats. They come up onto the pavement, they flow around your ankles. It's clear now that you've stepped aside. They weren't like heading for you, right? You just happened to be going in the opposite direction they were going in. But still, they have basically no regard for you or anybody else on the street. So you're getting wings flapped in your face and all sorts. But as you watch them, see if you can work out where they're going. Give us a roll for a roll plus sharp to investigate a mystery.
A roll plus sharp.
See if we can find out some information about what's happening and why.
Oh, Graham, it's -1. Oh, it's a 10. 9. There you go.
A 10 minus 1, a 9. So you get one question with a 9.
One question.
Answer me these questions, one.
Thank you, Ellie.
You're welcome.
Where's it going? Can I follow it?
You can absolutely start following the tide if you like, observing these creatures closely, and they're paying you no attention, so you can get in amongst the swarm very, very easily without scaring any of them off. You're able to observe them. With this kind of, you're very calm, like you're not panicked by being in this swarm.
It doesn't faze Graham.
Not scared of rats,
at all.
Not bothered about wings in your face. Not bothered about the possibility of disease or anything like that. So you're able to take this quite dispassionate observation of what's going on. And as you follow the swarm, it's beginning to disperse already as you follow it. And so the sense you get asking that question, where is it going, is this swarm of vermin is not thinking about where it's going. Where it's going is simply away. They're fleeing something.
They're fleeing something.
In the direction you were heading, presumably at the source of the ill wind.
Oh, well then Graham's going to head towards the ill wind. Yeah, I assumed they were leading me somewhere. I thought I was being Pied Pipered, but no. Turns out the old reversey Percy Piper.
Just join in with the swarm.
Skipping along.
Where are we going, friends?
Tooting a horn. Where's he got the horn? No one knows.
Like a gross Snow White.
Yeah.
And as you turn, you start to wade against this tide. Still sort of paying attention to the attitude here. Like you were thinking of this as kind of an animal jamboree down the high street. Now, on top of all of the other smells, you can smell the fear. You can sense the panic that this is a flight away from something dangerous. And you can see that some of these creatures, you see rats whose back legs are bone. You see occasional seagulls who are flying in spiral patterns because all of the feathers and flesh has been stripped from one wing. And so you see that whatever they're fleeing at the source of this stench, they have good reason.
Oh, so Graham, as best as he can, Graham picks up the pace and is going to, basically charge towards whatever this is, because he's like, this is not good. My rat friends.
The town of Sherrydown is still mostly without electricity due to a strange mystical incident at the substation that most people still have not fully figured out. And compounding that, the strange mystical effect that has been suppressing people's memories for generations of anything supernatural or strange, the existence of magic, monsters, gods, fae, that effect has completely broken down. And so now anything strange that happens to anybody in town, they remember all the details of, and that, with all the consequences that brings. And as a result of the dire straits that this is putting the townsfolk in, many people have left town. Anybody who's got relatives out of town they can easily go and crash with has moved to try to see if they can wait this problem out. But of course there are people who can't leave, and there are people who wouldn't want to leave, who want to stay to support the rest of the community. And so people are beginning to turn to avenues of aid that perhaps have not been the main avenue for many generations up to this point. Gwynned.
Hi.
Or should I say the Morrigan?
Hello.
Your following is beginning to grow.
Mm.
For the first time in a long time, the Morrigan has something that could be called a clan, like a following, followers, worshippers, beginning in this town, starting to reach influence further out. How does the Morrigan hear entreaties and pleas and requests for aid from her followers?
There is a glade and a sort of a cave in the forest. It is somewhere between the forest of Sherrydown and Fairyland. It sort of exists kind of in both. You can't just kind of walk from one to the other unless you are of the Morrigan. You can't just kind of go into the Sherrydown cave and come out. You have to take the train if you're mortal. But in this cave space, there is a fire, like a big campfire type place with almost like a classic witch's cauldron sort of feel over it, which the hearth mother tends to. And the steam rising from the cauldron, people's invocations come out of the steam. But I think also it's not like you look into the water and you can see them. I think there's just through that steam, those curl tendrils of smoke, there is also got to be a sense of the place that the person invoking them is, because that way my angel wings will allow me to teleport there if I know the person, if I know the place.
The hearth mother is tending this cauldron in the firelight. Just out of the firelight, in the shadowed corner of the cave, lurks the forest hag. And then our third aspect of the Morrigan, once her third aspect was the war chieftain, now the Shieldmaiden.
Yes.
How well is Gwyn kind of settling into this role as part of this triumvirate? Are you still kind of trying to keep your individuality, or are you like fully accepting like this is my responsibility now? Like what's her mind state like?
I think it's a mix between the two. So in terms of feeling the need to do the job, like she's always always had that sort of slight desperation to serve and protect and do what needs to be done. So
Duty.
Yes, exactly. So that is very much there. I think she's probably a little bit tired. There's a lot to be done. And as the one out of the three aspects most ingratiated with modern society, she tends to be the one that if attending a plea needs to happen directly, she is the one that seems to be doing it. So she's doing a lot of legwork, but also this connection to the other two aspects and the sort of getting a little bit more of the wider knowledge and connection to that wider knowledge that being part of this entails, means that she's sort of, there's a lot to think about and process.
Not necessarily right in this particular moment when we're joining the cave, but has a message ever boiled up from this cauldron from either Peggy Tailor or Renko?
I think for Peggy, it is likely that as she's in town, she will have seen some of her family in whatever small doses, and they are likely to be very much up to speed with all local developments, Fae and non-Fae, and they are also likely to be appealing to the Morrigan if it's going to benefit them.
Mm-hmm. Give us cover of night for our shady deeds.
Exactly. I think their pleas will be many and trivial.
No wonder Gwynn's tired.
Yes. And I think that Peggy is still resistant to join in with that level of magic involvement. She's really only there for if the magic helps the crime.
Yeah.
And doesn't want to get in debt with any Fae beings either. So I don't think she will have consciously sent a plea up, but I think that from being around her family, I wonder if people have, rather than saying, oh my god, started saying like, oh Morrigan.
Oh mother.
Oh mother. Yeah, because I think that could become part of the local vernacular, particularly if you are helping some people. So I think maybe that has occasionally slipped out of my mouth, but more in a sort of swearing way than in like how people nowadays who are very much not religious will say, oh God, or oh Jesus Christ. I think it's going to be like that. So I don't know how that
taking
impacts.
her name in vain.
Yes, taking her name in vain.
Precisely. I don't know whether that comes through to the cauldron of requests.
It itches every time.
So sorry.
Blasphemy.
And then Renko, knew Gwynned before,
Yep.
didn't fully trust her before, but
No.
was an acquaintance and was there at her ascension into this.
Yeah, so
Trinity.
it's not like Renko believes because she's seen it. I think if it's the kind of thing where if Renko had heard that information third hand, she would or second hand, she would struggle to compute it. But because she was there and she watched it all happen, she understands that Gwynned becoming the Shieldmaiden is potentially a benefit to protecting the town, and that's obviously very aligned with Renko's interests. But I think Renko is just so naturally suspicious of opening herself up to risk in terms of if she asks for something, is she going to get asked for something back? Is she going to have to go against her principles in some way? So I think Renko's probably been really very consciously trying not to what she would perceive as fall into a trap of asking for something, when actually from Gwynn's perspective it would probably be much less transactional than that. But Renko just can't be she can't shake that feeling of oh, if I do this, she's setting herself up for future trouble by asking for things that she can't pay back.
But you've got a straight, direct line to be like, I need Gwynned here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Morrigan, so she didn't before. It's like having a one-way walkie-talkie.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Renko is very conscious and probably has had a few times thought in her head, oh, this would be really helpful, and then is questioning whether or not that's I think she's just worried about setting something up that she's going to live to regret down the line.
I don't know if the two of you would have considered yourselves to be colleagues or friends or acquaintances previously. Is there any world in which you'd have met up with Gwynned for coffee or run into her in town or something, and previously would have been oh yeah, can you grab me a coffee? Whereas now, if that were to happen, I don't know if Gwynn's had time for that.
Yeah, probably not.
But now, would you be even thinking through things
I think
like
so.
that?
Yeah, because that is so to Renko's character to be I have to shift my perception of who this person is now, and I've reevaluated how trustworthy they are, or how, because as far as Gwyn is like concerned in the world for Renko, she is now a different person with different motivations, and so it's almost like Gwyn probably has to like reprove herself to Renko that she actually is like
still has shades of the same
exactly
person.
Is still the same person in essence, and isn't going to like, because I'm just thinking, oh well, now that she's in this triumvirate, she's going to be called upon to do stuff. And she's going to go ahead and do it because that's what she's supposed to do.
So it's possible that, like, as of this moment, wherever we are in time, there are so many times when we could have met up since Ascension, but we haven't at all.
Yeah. Renko's avoiding it on purpose because she's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like a friendship with, because the Morrigan was previously something to be wary of, and as far as she's concerned, it still is.
From the corner of the cave comes the dry laughter of the forest hag. The cauldron babbles. And the hearth mother tends the cauldron, stirs the cauldron as something begins to bubble up. A shape appears in the rising steam. So, Nat, would you like to roll your Boss from Beyond move?
Let's do
Find out how
it!
this is
Where you
gonna
can
go.
potentially get some free info, but
Yeah.
also potentially some jobs to do.
Yeah, this has historically gone real well before.
It's never gone well.
I don't think
has
it's
it?
ever gone well.
So this is a roll
So here we go.
2d6 plus your weird.
It's a 7 total.
Yeah, why break with tradition?
Yeah.
So on a 7 to 9 on Boss from Beyond, you are given something complicated to do.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's a success, you do also get a free question from the Investigator Mystery list.
Yes.
The steam roils into tendrils and shapes, and it's not that it forms a face. It's more like you have to read it a bit like tarot cards or tea leaves. Obviously, the Hearth Mother is incredibly adept at this. Stirring, looking at the steam, reading it. One of our followers calls for aid. No, many followers at once, with similar requests. Something is happening that is affecting many in the town. I hear the voices of Adrienne, Judith. I hear Debbie Lane, who lost her husband. I hear Becky Miller, the electrician. They saw an omen. They ask for our help interpreting it. A plague, a tide of vermin through the town, some of them mutilated, bone, bare, terrible stenches. They fear that this is a sign of the end times. They require succor. They ask for comfort to know whether this does mean the end, or if not, what could it mean? How else could such a thing be interpreted? They ask us to discover what caused this, to assuage their fear that it may be an omen of apocalypse.
I mean, those are two different questions. What do we think it is? Can we get an image of it?
I have a sense. I have a sense in the fumes. Down what avenue should we direct our investigation? Ask your investigative mystery question.
What sort of creature is it?
The Hearth Mother fully closes her eyes, no longer sort of reading the steam by sight. She bends over the cauldron, breathes in the steam, moves her head around through it, feels the currents. A creature of decay, a creature of rot, of pestilence.
Is it connected to Beelzebub?
No, not infernal, not a creature of myth. A creature of one of the old sciences. Something alchemical to it.
This is a little before and after my time.
Yes. A being composed of waste, of the things thrown away and animated by magic. Magical residue. A form of homunculus, but on a huge scale.
That sounds like something that we can hit, though.
Yes, something physical, certainly. Has a magical element to it. Magical animating force. but it is a physical being that can be harmed.
I suppose I can go and take a look. What do we think the priority is? Go straight to it, or reassure our followers first?
In matters such as these, we defer to our youngest sister.
I suppose I better get a look at this thing. It's inconvenient. This will take time away from my side project, but that is fine. Do we know where it lies?
None of our followers have yet laid eyes on the thing itself, only the signs of its presence, the creatures that flee from it. Find where from they flee, and we will find the creature.
Then maybe I actually should speak to them. I will go to Adrienne, see where she saw it last. While I'm gone, you will keep looking for them, won't you?
Of course, sister. The needs of our followers here are urgent and must always take the most of our attention, but in any and all other time.
Very well. And she will disapparate and head to Adrienne.
Peggy! Hello again.
Hello.
Peggy Tailor. Been back in Sherrydown for a few weeks now. Settling back in. Where are you staying these days?
Back in town, but not back at home. Both for the reasons of lone wolf, and big reason, but also there's a possibility that she gets tracked down and that would maybe put her family in danger. So she's putting someone else's family in danger by staying in a room at the local pub.
Yes, you found the landlord and landlady a little distracted of late.
Yeah, sad vibes in that pub, I would say.
Missing persons posters up on lampposts nearby. You at least have sort of reconnected with the family enough to know where they are actually living now, since they weren't where you last looked for them.
Yeah.
And obviously, Nana can always reach you when she wants to, even if you don't want to be reached.
Yes.
But you're keeping yourself a little bit of a remove for the moment.
Yeah.
Be back in town for a little while, getting the ground back under your feet, seeing what's changed, and all that sort of thing. Trying to keep your head down while the heat wears off. But, Peggy, you've been seeing her everywhere. On street corners. Under lampposts at night. Always out of the corner of your eye, always gone before you can approach. At the other end of the bar, but always gone before you can circle round through the crowd. You've been seeing that face. Vampire Val's in town.
Oh no!
Yay! What would Peggy do about that? Would you just, try to avoid? Or now that you know that she is here and clearly is, stalking you, would you, try to hunt her down back and force a confrontation? What's the vibe?
It's a delicate balance between Peggy not really caring very much, but also finding it irritating.
It's the absolute tragedy of somebody who's trying to do something very melodramatic and scary and it just not having the effect on the person they're doing it to.
100%. If it was a film, it would be, the dramatic music while Val lurks around and lingers at the ends of bars, and then you just cut to Peggy's reaction, which is just to roll her eyes. Every time she sees her, it's sort of, I think initially it was a surprise, but now it's a sort of rolling of the eyes, a sigh, and then definitely a trying to approach, because it's this is only going to stop if we have a conversation.
Okay. You spot her on a street corner, clearly has been standing there preparing, posing, ready to be seen. A car goes past, and all you see as it passes is the moving fabric of a big blousey sleeve disappearing around the corner. Do you pursue?
Yes, I'm going to trot after her.
Okay. Trot up to the street corner, and just again, the next corner around, you're into a little warren of residential streets. You just see again, a brown kitten heel disappearing around the next corner.
Yeah, I'm going to keep trotting, and I'm going to start calling out her name.
The next corner that you see her disappearing around, as a Sheridan resident and someone who's been getting the city back, getting the town back under her feet, you know she's just gone down a dead end.
Okay, good.
Turn that corner. She's gone. She's not down that alleyway. There is just a whisper of a voice, not coming through your ears, but in the back of your mind, saying, "I've got something you want, Peggy, darling." And you feel a presence behind you.
I whip around.
And you don't see Vampire Val.
God damn it.
Instead, you see Renko. So let's get descriptions of both of these characters for anybody who's forgotten what they look like. Peggy, tell us what you look like as you whip to face Renko on this street corner.
I am a woman in my mid-30s. I've got black jeans and a sensible low-heeled ankle boot. I'm wearing a white t-shirt and a black leather jacket, and I have shoulder-length, messy, bleach blonde hair. And I have smiling eyes.
Handy for the cons.
Exactly. Lure 'em in.
Yeah.
And Renko, we haven't seen her for a while. What's Renko's look these days?
I mean, probably shabbier than usual now that she doesn't have a functioning washing machine at home.
Yeah, good point. Oh no, everyone's hand washing in the bar.
Yep, yes, correct.
In the cold bath.
Yeah, wheel out the mangle.
So yeah, Renko is also a woman in her sort of mid-late 30s. Yeah, she tends to wear some kind of semblance of some kind of professional attire. So it's like, it's a suit, but I think, she's probably lost the jacket a long time ago. And it's just like a shirt and some like chino-style trousers, something like that, and some sensible, comfortable shoes, because she's always on the job. Yeah, I have suspicious eyes, which will be a surprise to absolutely nobody.
Suspicious eyes meet smiling eyes at this street corner.
Yeah.
So Renko, as I've said, weirdness is becoming a bit more of a fact of life around the town. Everybody's aware of it. But you haven't been noticing like as many sort of dangerous incidents as you might expect given that. And as a very observant person, just over the past, quite recently, just over about the past couple of weeks, you will have started noticing more and more things like horseshoes nailed over doors, talisman type things hanging in windows, people walking around town with just something tucked in their shirt collar. As a former, still technically current but furloughed agent of the Department of Emissions, which family in town, which organisation here in town is equipped to be supplying people with this sort of stuff? Is that the sort of thing you'd have been investigating? Is it a rabbit hole you might sort of go down in the absence of anything more
Yeah, I think if
priority?
there isn't something, like if there isn't more dangerous stuff happening, like Renko is always doing her job, right? So she's definitely interested in anything where either she feels like people are being hoodwinked in a magical or even in a non-magical way that's pretending to be a magical way. And then if there is a kind of bigger magical play, then she wants to find out if there's like something bigger to be concerned about.
Yeah. So there's a lot of coincidences happening. The sort of most notable of which is people seem to have suddenly worked out how to use some of these magical wards and protections. And also around the same time, a member of the Tailor family who'd been away for a long time came back to town. And that just seems to be, Renko's brain tying things together. Just seems to be something that there might be a connection there.
Yeah.
And as we think about Renko's brain pulling connections together, let's roll your beginning of the mystery move.
Okay.
Connect the dots.
If I'm rolling plus sharp, and on a 10 plus I get 3, and on a 7 to 9 I hold 1, and then I can ask those questions during the mystery. That's going to be 6, 7, 8, and my sharp is 3, 9, 10, 11.
Amazing.
I've never not held 3. Nice.
So Renko's really on her game. Like the connections are
I've
sparking.
had a lot of
in her
time.
brain.
We had a lot of red string.
Oh yeah, the wall of her flat is absolutely neatly but bizarrely covered. Nobody else could have read it. And pulling those strings has led you, in this latest instance, to stalk Peggy Tailor, who seems to be chasing shadows.
Yeah. And that's worth investigating. Yeah.
All All right, lovies. It's me, Matt, your compere, popping in to say I hope you really enjoyed the first act of a Vigil Gwynned. There will now be an interval of 2 weeks, after which we'll be back with Act 2 of 5. Normally we try to do backstage bonus episodes in between the acts. We actually don't have any for this production. Main house productions don't need a lot of backstage prep these days. Everything's pretty much established and barreling along. So normally between Act 1 and 2, we would have an episode where we discuss backstage how the characters are all connected to each other. For this production, everybody either already knows each other, or for Peggy, the new character coming in who hasn't met everybody yet, rather than establishing all of those relationships in a session just before the game actually started, we just established them as they came up. As she encountered each player character, we worked out, has Peggy met this person before? What has she heard about them? All that kind of stuff. So we'll still have the usual after-show discussion with the cast after the final act, but in between the acts, we don't have any backstage episodes for you this time. Stay tuned now, anyway, for the credits and the epilogue. And this is sort of a little bit back to front, but once you've heard the epilogue, you might be interested to know about the exhibition Tarot, Origins and Afterlives, which is at the Warburg Institute in London until the 30th of April. I've been along and had a lovely time finding out about some of the history of tarot, some of the different kinds of famous decks that have been created over the years, the different uses it's been put to, from just a card game to mysticism and fortune-telling to what Italo Calvino called a combinatorial narrative tool. It's free, but you do have to book a slot. If you're in London, you're interested in storytelling or emergent narrative at all, I imagine you are if you're listening to role-playing game actual plays, then it's well worth checking out before the 30th of April. If you do check it out and you've got thoughts, find us on Tumblr or me on Blue Sky, and let's talk about it. That's it from me. Enjoy your interval, but first, the credits and the epilogue. This has been Vigil, a main house production from Merely Role Players. It stars Ellie Pitkin as Peggy Tailor, Natalie Winter as Gwynned, Alexander Pankhurst as Graham, and Vicky as Renko, with Ellen Gould as Jess Butterworth. I'm Matt Boothman and I play the supporting cast. Editing and sound design are by me, and the theme music is by Alexander Pankhurst. We were playing Monster of the Week, a role-playing game by Michael Sands, published by Evil Hat Productions. You can find Monster of the Week at genericgames.co.nz. Merely Role Players is a Foggy Outline production in association with Blackshaw Theatre Company. Until next time, if drama be the food of life, play on. It pleases the new king of Fairyland to retain, for himself and for his court, a fortune teller. What do the fortune teller's quarters / the place where she does readings for the king and his court look like?
Jess has been stuck in the spangliest of spangly tents. It is spangly to the point of gaudiness. Imagine Rivendell, but everyone's on psychedelics. And it's gross. It's every colour. It's every sparkly thing. She's got a little bed in the corner, but her needs are sort of by the by. She's got what she needs, basic comforts, but mainly this is an entertaining space. And so it's for the elves. It's for the lords and the ladies. And there's chaise longues and there's furs and there's lots of drapery, and she hates it.
Rivendell on psychedelics really is the fairyland that we've established for this story. Is the tent away from it all and an exclusive sort of area, or is it on the floor, like in among the rave and all the fairground attractions and everything, like in the main cave?
I think we're off slightly. We're sort of where they stumble when, they want a little quiet break from the festivities, and they'll pop in to see me for a laugh and a rest. It's much the same as it was for my Saturday job. Nobody really goes to the fairground to see the fortune teller. It's an amusement you do in between rides, and it's something perhaps that the lords and the ladies pop in when the raving and the revelry has got to their heads a little bit. Like, go on.
How have the fairy court attired Jess for this role?
Oh, Lord. She's in full motley. Rainbow motley. With the flowing sleeves.
Oh,
the
yes.
Bell sleeves. Ribbons in her hair. There's glitter. Like the antithesis of what everything that Jess loves.
If anybody could be less comfortable in this sort of attire, also in the fortune teller's tent, sulking in a corner, equally, if not more gaudily dressed, is Kit. Sulking is, I think, Kit's default mode of being since the two of you were press-ganged into this role.
The sulking has become a sport between us. So we're competitive sulking. If blanking each other could be a physical act of violence, then that's what it's got to. Like, we are... The petty spite is through the roof.
Time is strange in Fairyland, not just because it's underground, there's no sun, there's only the disco ball. Time, as we know, runs differently in Fairyland anyway. But as Jess reckons it, how long is Jess the fortune teller of the king and his court before one of you decides enough is enough and now is the time?
It felt to us like months. Whether it is or not, I think it's been, I'm going to say, a good couple of months of trying to figure out why in our own personal brains we're here, how long we might stay for, and to the point now where it's no longer a novelty, and we're just so used to this being the way of life now that other things can actually start to come out.
Fully settled into a routine. And maybe they're just long enough for it to be unmistakable that you are not aging. And this makes time even more difficult to reckon. You don't seem to need to eat or sleep here, although you can. And so
we're already stuck here. We might as well eat the fairy food.
Right.
I think there was a period of time when she didn't, and she sort of was like following all of the rules still until it just gave in. Someone offered her something really tasty. So enough, I'm already here.
And so who is it, Jess or Kit, that finally breaches that wall of sulk between the two of you, that competitive sulking game, and broaches the subject of working together to get out of here?
I think it needs to be Jess. I don't think she wants to, but I think it needs to be her.
It's a day like any other. Even the word day doesn't quite work, because there is no day-night cycle here. It's just an endless party. But it's a time like any other. Kit is sulking in the tent. Jess has just completed a reading, and the tinkling laugh of a party of elven lords and ladies is departing as the curtain to the spangly tent swings.
Okay, I think the sparkly dust settles and she flops back down at her table with her cards. She starts gathering them back up again and stacking them and maybe giving them a perfunctory shuffle. She looks over at Kit and she looks back at the cards. And she looks back over at Kit. Enough is a bloody enough, mate. Kit, can you look at me? You actually make eye contact with me. Once. Please? She slams the cards down on the table. They go everywhere.
He looks up at the sound, and your eyes meet across the tent.
How long, exactly, are we going to play this childish bloody game for? It's funny, you know. You used to be all chat, all mouth in my ear. And now when it really matters, and we're stuck, you've got nothing to say.
There's too much to say. It's all built up. The weight of it is, it's, how can we ever say all the stuff we need to?
We seem to have all the time in the world, Kit. I don't know about you, but I don't think we're going anywhere. I don't know how long we've been here. I don't know how long we could possibly stay here. I don't know how much time has passed back at home. But if I'm going to stay here for the rest of my bloody life, I would like us to be able to talk again.
I've been here before, remember? I've been in this situation before. There's always the way out that they tell you is there. Like this time, the king says, "Answer my riddle and I'll let you go." But there's always the catch. You can't know the riddle ahead. You only get one answer. And so we're going to be here until they get bored of us and want to let us go. It's not up to us.
Right. So, Mr. I've been here before, I've done that before. You ever think that maybe your experience could help me? Maybe as a friend you could give me some advice? That the fact that you've been through all of this might be able to help me get through it too? You're just going to feel sorry for yourself. Just sit there, feel sorry for yourself. Even though it's half your fault, I'm here to begin with. If I'd never met you, Kit, if you'd never come into my life, I wouldn't be here to begin with.
This is why I haven't been talking. Because I know it'll just turn into this.
But you have to answer for yourself, don't you? You're stuck with me whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Stuck here again. Tied to another person again. And look where that got me last.
What? No, I'm not having this. I'm not having this half-said things and sighs and shoulda, woulda. Come here, sit down in front of me right now.
He responds to that authority that is coming through in your voice and stands up and, like the sulky teenager that he is sort of stuck as, shuffles, drags his feet, plonks himself down in front of the table.
Listen, you matter to me, Kit, and I really, really hope that I matter to you too. And whether we're stuck here forever or whether there is a way out, we need to fix this, and we need to fix it now. Because otherwise they're just gonna use our time and make fools of us, possibly forever. So, I've got an idea. She gathers the cards up and does a thump 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 on the deck and puts them down in front of them, both, and taps the top of it. This is so stupid, but I think we should do a reading together.
Maybe it's not stupid.
Okay. Are you willing to be honest with me for once, Kit?
What the hell? Like you say, we're here forever. It's going to come out one way or the other, one day or another. Might as well be now.
Better late than never, I suppose.
How do we do this?
I'm pretty practiced, so...
I've watched you with the lords and ladies, but when you read for them, are you really doing it?
They don't care, do they? I'm just a laugh. I say whatever they want to hear. I tell them that they're going to have great fortune and luck on the hunt and all that nonsense. I'm not going to waste my time telling them a real reading, am I?
No, they don't deserve you.
Ari will get you somewhere, Kit. Let's shuffle. Jess picks up the deck, splits it, does her best riffle shuffle, raises an eyebrow. She's had a lot of time to practice.
The cards are getting a little worn. The edges of the cards are getting soft.
Very. They're well loved. She, finger and thumb, taps the deck back down on the table between them and graciously gestures for Kit to cut.
Kit cuts, takes roughly the top half of the deck, turns the cards the other way, not face up, but twists the deck as the deck comes back together. Why not make this interesting?
Of course. So our first card, Kit, this is going to tell us the root of all of this between us, the cause of all of this resentment. Are you ready?
As I'll ever be.
Then turn your card.
Kit turns the top card of the deck. The King of Wands, upright.
King of Wands. Oh, that is so interesting. Kit, this is you. The King of Wands. He's charming. He's charismatic. People love him. He wants to be off on adventures. He doesn't like to stay at home. He can get anyone to do whatever he wants. And he's, traditionally, a good man. But look at it, Kit. Look at him, this great, charming, adventurous king with an ego. He sits on his throne with his crown, and what's he holding? A staff. A tool. The thing that allows him to take effect in the world. I'm the bloody staff, Kit. That's my problem. I thought we were friends, and I think you care about me. But bit by bit, as time's gone on, it just feels like I'm just a human. The only benefit to me being in your world is that I can have physical effect, that I can help you achieve whatever goals you want to achieve, and you never tell me what they are. And I'm following behind you all the time, and I'm plunged into all sorts of problems, and I have no idea why. And I'm dealing without any kind of strength or weapons of my own, and you hold all the cards.
If you hadn't said that bit about him being a good man, I would feel so attacked right now.
Well, yeah.
You've drawn this card saying this is the root of the conflict, this is the root of the issues between us, and it's all me. I'm it. How am I supposed to feel about that?
What power have I ever had in any of this? I've tried, but you have all of the magic. You have all of the skills and the knowledge. How can I be at fault here? How can I have been the cause of any of this?
He's quiet for a moment, so doesn't meet your eye for a minute. He's looking at the card. It's true that at first it was about you being able to affect the world when I couldn't. But you're looking at this and you're seeing a man with a tool. Why does anyone need a staff, Jess? I lean on you. I came to lean on you. I need you. And he needs that staff, and he doesn't want to stay at home. He wants to be out and about, and he hates that he needs the staff to do that because he feels like he's weak to need it.
But the thing is, Kit, I can tell that you resent it. I can tell that you resent that you need me. I appreciate your honesty, but I'm a person, not a stick. And you can lean on a stick without having to tell it why. and it will take your weight and go wherever you tell it to go and never complain. But I'm a person, and it's not fair to lean on me and push me up whatever hill you want to climb without forewarning me or telling me anything beforehand. Do you see what I'm saying?
Is this about when I took over your body?
Of course it is. Of course. How could it not be? We've not even talked about it.
Well, we are now, so I suppose this is getting us somewhere.
Yeah.
You can see him really wrestle with himself. I'm sorry I treated you like a stick.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is tough. What's next?
Oh, I tried so hard and succeeded at not laughing. What you see is a man with a tool.
Yeah.
Don't ruin the moment. Don't ruin the moment.
Foggy outline. Undivide your world.